Hi, this is Melba Moore. When I'm in London, I listen to Alllfalvas Radio.
Imagine if you got what you want every time. No struggle, no hard work, no challenges, no hard work required. Some of you are saying that will be great.
A pleasant good evening to you all here in Alllfalvas land. How are you all doing out there? And at the moment, I am on my own, waiting for Naturally Lily to come in and join us. She's running a little bit late today. And yes, just giving a shout out to all the chat room crew, the worldwide crew, the WhatsApp crew, you silent listeners out there, and also everyone in on TuneIn. Now, what's been quite interesting, it is the 31st of August, and really the weather throughout the whole month hasn't been the greatest, but we've managed, right? We've got through everything. We're on top of the world, and yes, the world does continue on. Lots of things happening around the world at the moment, and yeah, we just have to more or less keep abreast of things, or life as we know it, and do the best that we can to be the greatest and better persons that we are. So today we're looking, or should I highlight the question for today? And it's something that has come to my attention. I was speaking to someone at a wedding on Saturday, but I've seen this video that's been floating around the internet for a little while now, and it is actually a bit of a problem, not bit of a problem, but a problem universally, worldwide, as well as in the Caribbean. And what the question is that you've been married, or this is a couple, they've been married for 10 years, they've been together 13 years. They have 2 children, and then they discover that they are siblings. So the husband and wife, they discover that they are siblings. If that was your case, what is the next thing? What's the next move once you find out this kind of information? That is the question today. You've been married for 10 years, together for 13, got 2 children, you discover you and your partner are siblings. What's your next move? So just giving a shout out to Charlie Muir, Mark Philogene and DJ Slim. Fantastic stuff yesterday, guys. And you can catch Charlie on a Wednesday, as well as Mark Philogene on a Monday evening from 6 till 8, and DJ Slim on a Monday from 8 till 10, and on a Thursday from 6 till 8. We also want to welcome our new DJ, DJ LJ Original, and you can catch DJ LJ Original on a Friday evening from 8 till 10. So today is National Diatomaceous Earth Day. All right, so that when I saw that word, I couldn't even pronounce it. I must say, I could not even pronounce the word. And Diatomaceous Earth Day. Now, it's like as I've said, August the 31st, and National Diatomaceous Earth Day recognised the diatom and the remarkable mineral it creates. The diatom is something that creates, it's a mineral. So most people know, or most people know of the that word, earth, because they use it around their homes. So sometimes we use it to filter our swimming pools if we have one, or as a natural insecticide. And biologists understand diatoms, single cell plants, they form diatomaceous diatomaceous earth, and are indeed the lungs of the earth, as highlighted here. And amazingly, diatoms produce about 3/4 of the world's new oxygen supply. Another scientist, known as mineral scientists, recognise that diatom skeletons, called frustules, imagine tiny, intricate, porous opal structures. They are known to be the most durable, naturally occurring substance in the world. Have you heard of that, listeners? The diatomaceous earth. Do you know what it is? As it says, there's 3/4 of the world that produces this new oxygen supply, and scientists know it as well. is called frustules. So I've never ever heard of that before, but they're meant to be durable, naturally occurring substance in the earth. So it says they're known as DE, and it's sedimentary rock. DE mines unearth large deposits worldwide from the United States, Mexico, Chile, Peru to France, Spain, Denmark and China. And substantial deposits exist around the world. While dying diatoms continue to form diatomaceous earth, today some of the deposits were developed millions of years ago. So please let me know if you can hear me, listeners. Yeah, we're just waiting for Naturally Lily to come in, and it is National Diatomaceous Earth Day. And diatomaceous is a diatom that produces oxygen and is also called frustules. And really, it's, as it says, it's the lungs of our earth. It's created there in many different countries. And it says there, diatoms die and fall to the bottom of bodies of water. And DE deposits form over time. The organic portions of diatoms weather away. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put on a little bit of music, and then we'll be back with you in 5. Oh, sounds of the emotions there for you. Key to my heart. Hi, Naturally Lily.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm very tired.
I hear you. I hear you. You just made it, right?
Just made it through the door.
Wow. When you said you was running late, it's mad, isn't it? Everything's back to the grindstone. It's not like we have that extra time or, you know, sometimes to get settled down. It can be a bit tricky, can't it?
Everything's very busy at work at the moment, and because I'm not in, I had a few things to get wrapped up before I was, before I took my time.
Hey, hurry up, hush. But that's okay. You're here now, and that's the most important thing. So before we took a short break there quickly, because the youngsters were getting a bit of a telling off.
Oh dear.
It all comes over the radio.
Sorry, guys.
I thought let's just take a quick music break and just find out. We're talking about the diatomaceous. Is that right? Diatomaceous, yes, earth. Okay, and it's an industry to remove unwanted materials from drinking water. So that's what it's more to do with filtering. So I think it's stuff, filter.
It
So we use
filters
a
the
lot of
beer
that.
and wine that we drink and water in swimming pools.
Yeah, so yes, filters. That's what I thought. So anyone that has a swimming pool will know what that is. And it's National Diatomaceous Earth Day, hence that's the reason why we're speaking about it. And because also apparently it is the lungs of the earth.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so probably, like it says, it sinks to the bottom of the ocean, then it probably filters the water. That's what I can gather from it. So it says how to observe hashtag Diatomaceous Earth Day. How do we observe it, Lily?
So it says, explore the uses of diatomaceous earth. Where do you think it might be used around your home or work? Discover more about diatomaceous earth and its use. And you can hashtag Diatomaceous Earth Day to share it on your social media.
So quite interesting. I thought, there was lots of other days today, but as regards to the earth, we know that we are ambassadors, should we say, or fully aware of the earth and the impact that we have on it. So I thought just include something as regards to the earth and really, as it says at diatomaceous, how that plays a part in sustaining the earth that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our national day, hashtag Diatomaceous Earth Day. If you do that in all your hashtags, and that'd be awesome. And if you know a bit more out there, listeners, please let us know. Feel free to give us a call in and let us know what you think. Lines open at 7:00, so it would be great to hear from you. So in our history, Lily, I was thinking of this Eldridge cleaver, but something came to my attention, and it had to do with the 14 African countries that are still under France, that's still paying colonial tax. Yes, they're still paying colonial tax for benefits of slavery and colonisation.
Didn't we see this a couple of shows ago when we was talking about a country that began with a B, and they were fighting? It was in a Somalian, near Somalia and Somaliland.
Burkina Faso or somewhere like that, was it?
I'm sure it was. And they were still owned by France, and the French troops were going in to help supposedly support them. And I'm sure this is something that we saw back then as well.
Well, there's actually 14 countries.
Wow.
And they're being forced by France to still pay this colonial tax. And I thought, this is all part of our history, isn't it? It's part of our African history. The fact of, they went in, they took slaves, and they got the audacity to still be having to pay these taxes. And because of these taxes, that's why a lot of wars are raging within Africa. Okay, because it highlighted it says 14 countries, and out of these, it was Guinea-Bissau, I think.
Guinea-Bissau, yes.
Out of these countries that are still under this French colonial tax is Egypt,
Wow.
Tunisia, Libya, Côte d'Ivoire, Equatorial Guinea, Madagascar, Guinea-Bissau, Rwanda, Libya, Algeria, Nigeria, and we're going to have a look at that because Nigeria is still under it. You know, the Boko Haram?
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with France.
Okay.
Yeah. Congo, RDC, Ethiopia, Mali, Uganda, Guinea-Conakry, Sudan, and that's 5 subtitles, 1 of 13. But
Uganda, not Uganda. I just realised that. Wow,
yeah,
I never heard of that country.
Same. But there's also Congo, Chad, Chad. We spoke on Chad before as well, haven't we?
Yeah, it was Burkina Faso and Chad. That was where the war was, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's still raging. Sort of when we think of, it's the Congo. There's war in a lot of these African countries. There's still war.
Because they're still fighting for independence, and there's a country at the moment that's going through some a great turmoil, and I can't remember if it was South Africa or a neighbouring country, because I saw something a little while ago, and they were dragging women out of the houses, and it was it's quite traumatic, and this is going on right now. Obviously, it's not making the news because other things are making the news, but there's a lot going on that we don't see.
Aware of, yeah. Because even someone sent me something as regards to Afghanistan. I think it was Doreen sent me something as regards to Afghanistan and how the Americas that they've known, kind of, Hillary Clinton, she kind of forewarned, and the Americans like to go into countries and just shake them up a bit, and just play them against each other, and hence war comes out of it.
Well, that goes back to the illustration of the ants in the jar, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still all politics. Don't really like to talk about politics, but there's always going to be that person that shakes up the jar, whether it's France, the UK, Americas.
Yeah.
And they're going to have fighting inside those countries because no one is actually looking at the external of who's actually caused the problem in the first place. I mean, are we shocked that Afghanistan are taking back their country? No, why should we be shocked?
Isn't it? But like it says, the Americans like to go in, they set their foreign policies, interfere with these countries, and then destabilise the governments that have nothing to do with America. I'm
going to sound like such a, I don't know right now, but this isn't something new. It's not just Americans that have done it. Through centuries and centuries of time, there's always been a nation that will go into another nation and give it their policy, give it their way of life, and then for a period of time, that nation or empire is going to be the national ruling empire at the time. You had the British Empire, you had you know, the Roman era. It's always happened through time. I think because we're seeing it now with our own eyes and we're not reading it in a history book, it's a bit more, oh goodness, the Americas are going in. But I don't think it's something to be shocked about because it's always been that way.
Yeah.
The Moors did it at one point when they went into the European countries, and they didn't treat them as badly as some of these other countries have been treating the nations and just killing off everybody. But they did go and give them a way of life, a different way of living. And that's what this is. It's a different way of living that they're enforcing on others.
Western way of thinking to a lot of degrees as well. But going back to this paying tax or slavery, for colonization benefits of slavery, when it comes to colonisation, and France still having that control to force them to pay a colonial tax. What I found quite interesting was Sekou Touré of Guinea in 1958, when they tried to get out of the French Empire, as it were, or they were ruling them at the time, and they opted to get for independence. The French elitists got furious in Paris. The French elitists in Paris got furious, and what they did was the administration in Guinea destroyed everything in the country that represented what they call the benefits of French colonisation.
A bit like what they did in Haiti.
Right, so
but they bought their freedom, didn't they?
Yeah, but look at the devastation that they're still in today, and it's like they constantly get hit all the time, right? So what they went and they burnt their houses, they burnt down the businesses, they burnt down the schools. They just brought it to nothing. So that was sending out a message to all of the other French colonised countries that okay, you want to opt for your independence, then this is what we're going to do. So they struck fear, obviously, into those countries. Yeah. And they're still paying this colonial tax.
But, Mum.
Yes.
We talk about the French being outwardly making their colonies pay tax.
Yeah.
We've been paying tax up until last year, 2015.
Yeah. But it's not...
And we live in a so-called independent free country. We've been paying for slavery... We've been paying the debts of the British Empire from, 1885 until 2015. We've been... and that's the one thing about the British. They are so covert.
Insidious.
When they do certain things that you would not even notice it. Whereas these other colonisers are very obvious that they do... I don't know what's worse. In your face or... just slyly, just
I think either way,
making you know,
just, one's just as bad as the other, isn't it? Really. When we think about it, we're living in this world, this system that we're living in here now, and we're open to having to do a lot of things that we don't want to do. We go in, we pay, we work, yet we pay in more in tax, but not seeing the benefits of a lot of it. And likewise, even with these French colonised taxes, the Africans are still poor. They're still not succeeding because they're being held back by all of these debts.
Yeah,
when
and
people
some
are
of
going
these
in.
countries have such. Like I remember watching what's his name, used to be on EastEnders, and he goes to different countries to see some of the worst prisons in the world, and one of them was Madagascar. And okay, you're in prison, you're doing a sentence for committing a crime, but these places are so inhumane. That it's you wouldn't even send your animal to live there for a day. And it's these countries here that are in debt to the European colonisers, that they're suffering because of...
Are they having the benefits? I know things like places like Jamaica, mind you, Jamaica's really going through a bit of turmoil, and we're going to look at that's one of the countries as regards to incestuous relationships and siblings not even knowing that they're siblings and being in relationships together. That's another major issue. That's what we'll discuss a bit later. But even in those countries, Jamaica's very poor, but it's very rich at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, it's two sides. There's no middle ground. And likewise here, them still having to pay all of that money. I don't think it's right, and that they should be entitled to their independence because they've been under this rule for long enough. They've gone in.
But what
and
does
taken
that really mean, though? You say they should be entitled to their independence, but what does that actually mean? We're entitled to our independence as so-called citizens of this country, and we can't freely speak about what we want to speak about. What does that independence actually mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, independent from them taking money for the French and not putting it back into the African countries. Because I think
regardless
that's what they're
of
doing.
where their independence lies, they're still going to be paying their money out to somebody, whether it's the French, the Chinese, or the Americans, or the British.
But it's what they're paying the tax for, Lily. It's the benefit of slavery and colonisation. That's over. That in Libya, it's really bad there.
I don't understand that sentence. Benefits of slavery.
Yeah.
What benefits?
Well, when they used to go in, take all the coffee, to just...
So how does that benefit the Africans?
It doesn't.
So how can that sentence make sense?
The French going in. Remember when they left Guinea-Bissau, they burnt everything down.
But that's what I'm saying. It says 14 African countries forced by France to pay colonial tax for the benefits of slavery and colonisation. What benefits?
Building
Did
up
they
their
build
so-called...
houses and schools? And because they didn't. We've been to African countries and they don't have the structure of these Western countries. They don't. Okay, let me say that again. Places like Nigeria, Ghana, there are very westernized places there. Beautiful countries. Yeah. So, okay, I see some not benefits, but I see where this is going. But that is a modern post-slavery building. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not a building that you would have built in the 1800s. And furthermore, you didn't have no slaves in Africa, so I don't understand.
But there's always kind of been that slavery in Africa. According to Equiana Oladayu, that they had the tribes and factions and certain things going on
between the Africans.
Yes,
I'm not talking about the colonizers.
Okay.
I'm talking about the colonizers did not put themselves. Oh, can't hear myself. Really. In African countries.
Yes. Hence them being under colonised by these countries. That the people don't see the benefits, but the French and everyone that went in there did, or do, should I say, taking out the diamonds, taking out all the minerals.
Yeah, that's not... Okay, I'm thinking of different slavery then. I'm thinking of transatlantic. I'm not thinking of when they got in and stole all the blood diamonds and the gold and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And even the other day, we read something about Beyonce and the blood diamond. Like, that's hers if she wants to go and parade around with it. No. What that article was saying. Yeah. So Beyonce is because I saw this on TikTok as well. Beyonce was wearing a diamond from an African country, and they classed her as the first African American woman to wear a diamond. Right. And from this particular, I can't remember who it was. And someone made the point that, isn't it ironic that the diamond they stole from an African country, she's the first Black African American to have worn an African diamond from there. Right, but everyone else is irony of it. Everyone else can, but she can't. Then is that what they're trying to say? No, they're just saying that you've taken something from Africa. We are African Americans, because they've got identity crisis, haven't they? But they don't really know. But you've put this African diamond on an African woman, and you're saying it's the first time, which is it's ironic. Yeah. No, it's like, how can you have stolen something from our country and it's never been touched by or worn by someone that is from this land? But that's not true, Lily. They used to decorate. How do you think they found diamonds in the first place? No, I know this, but I'm saying in the media, in the public eye, the irony... colonisation. Oh, listen. The irony is that you've stolen this from our country, and this one diamond has not been worn by an African until you
put her on the front of whatever Vogue magazine it was. I don't even know what magazine was. And then state claim that she's the first African. We know that she's not the first African to wear that diamond. Yeah. But that's what they're saying. Right. This is the first, Beyonce's the first African American to wear this beautiful pink diamond. Obviously, we know that's not true. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Listeners, please let us know what your thoughts are as regards, this is in our history section of the show, and as regards to really those 14 countries being forced by France to pay colonial tax for the benefits of slavery and colonisation. What are your thoughts regarding that? Give us a call, 07895 134 713. Don't forget, lines open at 7 o'clock. So in saying that, there's just so much irony.
It's ironic.
Yeah.
Isn't it ironic?
Yes, it is.
It is irony. It's the fact, and it's also insulting.
Yeah. Because
the same diamonds that they have stolen from, India and African countries that they've got in a museum, that they're still not giving back to their owners, they will then put that on an African or an Asian and then state claim that, it's the first time. It's not the first time we've been dressed in that garb.
No, they used to decorate with their huts with diamonds. That's what a guy come gleaming, saw these gleaming huts, wondered what it was, and the rest is history. Yeah, it's come so natural to them to be surrounded by all of this beauty. And then someone comes along, sees, oh gosh, I can make money out of that, and then enslaves the very people who it belongs to give it to them. It's madness. Your thoughts? We're going to take a break, beautiful people. We'll see y'all in 5.
Stay there. We'll be back after these.
Yo, knife crime is not new, yeah? I grew up in the 80s and there was knife crime back then between blacks and whites, and now it's definitely between young black men in small, tiny communities, and it's affecting everyone. We all look stupid. You look even more stupid. If you've got a knife or you know someone that's got a knife, tell them to stab themselves. Right now, trust me, because you're just going to stab your future if you go and stab someone else. You become a murderer, you go to prison, you ain't got shit. For what? For some beef that lives within your community. You need to see past that. We have to say something about it as well. Entertainers that are out there, there's young people that look up to us, man. We need to just vocalize this, send a message out saying, put the knives down, it's done. All right, it's done. We don't need to be killing ourselves. We have so much more we can offer. And you're going to kill your future, you're going to kill someone else's future, and it's dumb. Entertainers, do me a favor, man. Put out similar videos. Let's try and put out something and say that we care for our communities. Stop the knife crime, please.
Are you having an event and looking for entertainment for your event? For all ages, from bouncy castles, selfie mirrors, rodeo balls, call Boss Leisure now on 07 833 958 528. That's 07 833 958 528. We provide entertainment for weddings, children's parties and corporate events. Check out our website www.bossleisure.co.uk. Boss Leisure, we've got you covered anywhere in the UK. Boss Leisure, the name you can trust for your event.
Congratulations! You have not won a grand prize of £25,000 because automated phone calls like this are very often scams. Scams aren't always phone calls. They can be letters, emails, or even personal visits. There's a scam for everyone, and they all have one thing in common. They're designed to rip you off. Have a nice day.
For more information on how to avoid getting scammed, visit oft.gov.uk.
More music variety right here on The Listener's Choice. Alllfalvasradio.com, the #1 radio station on the net, reaching 179 countries in the world with the best variety of music.
Tie.
I'm just in love with you.
Now you have the sounds there of T.S. Monk, Can't Keep My Hands to Myself, and also Eric Benet with Better Than Better. I know that track. That's done by that Better Than Better done by Lala Hathaway. Great, both two really great versions there. So yeah, keeping it kind of light and funky, a bit funky today where the music's concerned. So we were speaking just before the break as regards to the 14 countries that's still paying colonial tax for the benefits of slavery and colonisation. And really, just one point that I wanted to make as regards to that, lot of us say, well, you know, they've got leaders, why don't they do something about it? And the article did make a point that we do accuse the leaders of corruption and serving Western nations' interest instead. But there's a clear explanation for that behaviour. They behave so because they are afraid to be killed or victim of a coup. And those coups aren't nice. That's when another country will go in and take over. Yeah. You know, and it says they want a powerful nation to back them in case of aggression or trouble. But contrary to a friendly nation's protection, the Western protection is offered in exchange of those leaders renouncing to serve their own people or nation's interests. And that's really sad, isn't it? Like, you know, everyone, like we said, the Americans go in and interfere. Yeah. But they're scared of their own people to a degree that they'd much rather help, and then they usurp them, and then they lose that control, and those other nations take over. But you know that they had a meeting one time, and the European nations did actually carve up Africa as to who owns what part.
Yeah, I've seen something like that of how they distributed it.
Yeah.
And I find that quite interesting because it wasn't as divided before. There was no kind of borderlines or whatnot. And since they have gone in and divided the countries, there are now African countries within themselves are now saying, no, we don't identify as that country. I think Somalia is one of those places that have got the north and the south, but within the north, within that country in itself, there is a little part of...
Italy was
No, but there's a little part inside Somalia now that they're not being acknowledged by the UN as a country, but they have their own flag, they have their own passports, all kind of stuff. They don't want to belong to the other two nations, which they are one nation, but you know.
It's a division. So that's a divide and conquer, isn't it, kind of attitude. It says that African leaders would work in the interests of their people if they were not constantly stalked and bullied by colonial countries. But we know the reasons why colonial countries do that.
No.
For the resources, Leish.
Because they have none.
Yeah.
There's nothing in any European country.
No. So that's why they stalk and threaten. So it's, you know, and they don't have the arms. So you know that in a lot of those countries, the African countries, they find weapons. Where do the weapons come from? Western countries. Yeah. So it's a sad situation, and there are the benefits of keeping the African countries under. How they're going to get help, I don't know where help will come for them, but I think it's a bit long to be paying like colonial tax and, you know, for benefits of slavery. I think that's a bit of an insult, to be fair.
A bit of an insult. It's a major insult.
Yeah. So who knows how things will pan out. So, Lily, the word of the day.
The word of the day
Let's
is...
see if we can find it.
Desultory.
Desultory.
Which means... marked by lack of definite plan or purpose. Yeah. Does that mean you haven't got a plan?
Seems to, because it uses the analogy of after graduation he moved from job to job in a desultory manner, meaning that
you didn't know what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so finished uni and thought, didn't have no specific plan as to what they were going to do. So what's the example there?
Oh, I like this one. So my friend goes into the office with his copy, walks up to the creative director's desk, gently puts it down in front of him and waits. The creative director looks baffled and irritated. He picks up the copy and gives it a desultory read. Basically, you've not given me an explanation as to why you've given me this. You're wasting my time. What is the purpose of this piece of work? Yeah.
It's funny, we've been watching this series. We've found it, called Them. Have you heard of that before?
Goodness.
I know. I had to like work myself up to watch it.
How far in have you got?
Only
Because
two series,
I
only
stopped
two.
watching it. I was getting major
I know.
vibes. I did. Oh, I don't know. I want to go back and start watching it again.
Yeah, but going to, back to the word desultory, what happened was it's a black family that moves into Compton back in the 50s when it's just after segregation, and they're the only black family that are there, so their neighbours are really giving them a hard time. But the husband, he's an architect. And he's working with his teammate in order to get a job on the Pentagon, building the Pentagon. So he's done all the work that he's meant to do. Mm-hmm. And then he goes into the office of the boss, shows him, he goes, well, where's the rest of it? He goes, well, that's Tony's job. So the guy's name's Tony. He says, why do you not have it? So although he drew up the plans, he should have written something. Desultory.
No, he shouldn't have. But
he shouldn't have,
he looked
but
at it with a desultory turn because there wasn't the finishing touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where are the plans? What's this? What's that? You're no good for the job, he told him. He was sat at the table so angry that his nails broke blood and hit the palms of his hands. And I thought that's what made me think of no planning. So he did plan, he done his job. And this is another thing, listeners. Like, we're asked to do something, do we just do just enough, or do we go that extra mile just in case that other person might let us down, or
no.
But Lily, you know that it's for us, it's a given, because if we don't, sometimes we put in so much work but lose out because of that extra piece.
I know, but I've discovered, in the last 24 hours, I've been given tasks to do, and I did the tasks and got to, working very, very quick. And I've realised, just do what you need to do. Yes, every now and again go the extra mile, but when you go the extra mile, people take the mick.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to do what you need to do. Have the extra mile as a backup, just in case, you know. Have the extra mile as a backup, but don't be giving you everything all the time. Sorry.
So going back to that word desultory, in the sense of he could have said, well, Tony is drawing up the plans, but this is just a little something just to give you a heads up as to what Tony's working on, just to back himself up, because he was the only black man in his firm as well. So they're going to be giving him a hard time. Mm-hmm. It's a really good series, and it's hard to watch.
Very
hard to watch because it's like, Ken and I was like, should we do the next one? It was really, we were so apprehensive and getting really anxious watching it. I don't suffer with anxiety, but I was anxious because I was getting kind of worked up because of the treatment.
Yeah, only on number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You keep
I think
going.
it's 2 or maybe 3. I'm not too sure.
You keep going.
I saw a section of it on TikTok. I asked John Ash, what is this film? And he told us, and we started. It was tough. Really tough. It's called Them on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
So so desultory means mark of a lack or definite plan or purpose. So are we desultory? Do we make plans, or do we just go is it verbatim and just throw caution to the wind? Mm-hmm. We definitely want to have a marked, have a definite plan or have some form of purpose as to where we're travelling, because a lot of us go through life like that as well, don't we? No purpose, no plan. We just take wherever the wind blows.
Yeah,
that's good, but it is good to have.
You have to have a plan.
A little kind of plan. Even look at this last year, what we went through.
I mean, you can't plan for this, what's happening now, but you can make mini plans to get you to certain places. Like a lot of people in the lockdown lost their job. No one planned to lose their job, but they did what they could during that time, and a lot of people started their own business because they lost their job.
Yeah.
So,
and what that's taught me is that we can't let rest on our laurels. Like we have to think, right, if this happens again, how am I going to manage to get through? because at the moment we're hearing of numbers rising everywhere.
Yeah, we're going to have a third
You
wave.
know, and are we prepared or are we unprepared? Are we planning to say, okay, for such and such?
I saw someone
Then,
do some
you know.
serious planning when I went shopping.
Really? How?
She have like, must it 10 bag of 18 toilet paper?
Wow.
Really? Why do you have that much toilet paper in your house? If you run out wash, why do you have that much toilet paper?
Just get a jug, guys. That's all you need. Like,
I'm like, what is
But
she
then-
planning for? Armageddon.
But then
Because
the
even then you're not
water-
going to be able to use it.
but then the water. All right, because I saw something recently regarding the water in New York. So they pump certain things and they feed certain cows vitamins or whatever drugs and will put it in the poor areas. So there's a higher rate because when you go to Africa, you don't
Even
see
with the
high
milk,
rates.
yeah,
you
they
don't
do.
see high rates of diabetes and all that.
Yeah, they do it with I've seen
Yeah.
that. There's more in one concentrated area. I can't remember where it
Yes.
was, but more of there's
Bronx, I
a
think it
high
was.
risk of diabetes compared to where they're not drinking that type of milk.
And water is coming through the tap water.
There's nothing you can drink filtered water. but
Filtered or distilled. Get distiller, guys. Amazing things. Really, really good. So have a definite plan or some form of purpose. That's what desultory means. And there's nothing more important than having that purpose or a plan. Okay? So the Latin adjective to that was, Lily?
sorry, I don't know what that adjective was. Satire, no.
No,
The Latin verb was salia, meaning to leap.
or desultorous was the adjective. Desultorous adjective. I always get those muddled up, Leish. Verb,
Which is,
adjective, and
I
noun.
don't even know why you tried to make me. I don't know.
Okay.
The Latin adjective desultorious was used by the
So that's a
ancients
performing word. Adjective
to
is a performing
refer
word.
to a circus performer.
Yes. So that's a doing word, adjective, right?
Yeah, called a desultor.
Okay.
Their trick was to leap, hence the verb is to jump.
Okay.
Salia.
All right. All right. So desultory conversation leaps from one topic to another. Bit
Like
us
what we're doing
tonight.
right now. And I'm going to jump to the apprentice roles. Shall we move on? Okay, so opportunities. We have several different business opportunities to explore today. So there have been apprenticeships that are for level 2 and level 3. Some are level 4 apprenticeships are now open. And there's also apprenticeships for level 4, 5 and 6, and they'll be opening in November. So level 2, 3 and 4 are kind of like entry level qualifications, and the 4, 5 and 6 you're going along the lines of diplomas and degrees. So a level 6 is a degree. So if you'd like to hear or register for these opportunities, these are through TFL Careers. So you need to go to tfl.gov.uk/category and then /our apprenticeship roles. So I'm sure if you go to the TFL website and click on careers, they'll have some information for you there. Apprenticeships are really big at the moment, and because they're getting quite well funded by the government, just because there are a lot of people out of work. And
It's like paid work as well, isn't it? You get paid while you train.
Yeah, so it's gonna more appeal to someone who doesn't want to go to university, but they'd like to work, but they'd like to get a degree at the same time. So you kind of getting both of the best of both worlds. That's what I'm looking for.
Because a lot of the time, if you're going to do a degree, you've got to apply for loans and all that. You come out of uni with debt, whereas as an apprenticeship, you're paid to work to get your qualification. I think that's great.
I'm doing
there
it,
should be more of those things.
A degree,
Okay.
apprenticeship,
All right. In what?
management.
Okay, that's good. And that opportunity was sent in by Gal. So thanks a lot for that, Gal. We've posted that. We've also posted it into the chat room.
I do have another one actually.
You have another? Do you want to let us know?
It was I'll tell you.
So there's a lot of things out there. We spoke last week of the lifelong learning sector, gave out the one from the .gov website, the opportunity from there as well, right?
Yes, and there's now, I think we've mentioned this one before, but I'm just going to reaffirm it. So the applications are now open in August. I think the webinar has passed, but the application is still open for the Black internship. So there's 10,000 Black interns. 10,000 Black interns seeks to offer 2,000 paid internships, and they have partnered up with 24 different sectors. Some of the internships that are going to be offered are with Goldman Sachs, Bloomberg, American Express, NatWest Coots, Legal and General, NHS, Citibank. Guys in St Thomas's comes under the NHS, but they're also offering the apprenticeships. If you want to know more, I would make it a sense of urgency, because obviously the August applications opened, and this was sent to me on Sunday. So you need to go to 10,000blackinterns.com to register your interest on there. And yeah, just have a look out there and see what would work for you.
Yeah, so a lot of the youngsters, we heard Idris Elba in the advert highlighting about knife crime, highlighting about certain things. However, there's a lot of opportunities out there for young people. So one thing I did hear in the past, that there's not much for them. Well, the government are providing lots more. And I know that Tyler around here, we're going to be having a young fellow on, he does the sermons, street sermons. He's a young guy, does music videos, and in Tottenham, I think they're giving us something like 750,000 to help the young people, help the youth. So I think that's really a great incentive. When we get Tyler in, he'll be able to give us a little bit more information regarding that. So check him out. He's a street sermon. Is it called street sermon?
I don't know.
Yeah, on YouTube. Okay, so he's a young fellow, he does rapping and all that stuff, but he has a message behind every video that he produces. So that's great on the opportunity front, a couple of great opportunities there. So going back now, Lily, to our question, you've been married for 10 years, together for 13, got 2 children, you discover you and your partner are siblings. What's your next move? Should we discuss that after the break?
Let's, yes.
Yeah, so could you read that question out once more for me, clearly?
You've been married for 10 years, together for 13. You have 2 children, and you discover that you and your partner are siblings. What's your next move?
See y'all in 5. How are you doing out there in all flavors land on the 31st of August 2021? So the question that we posed before the break was speaking on a couple, they've been married for a while, they've got children, and find out that they are siblings. What would you do in that situation? Lily?
Can I just first say that we need to not judge, because, everyone, I'm reading some of these comments that we got on Facebook, and we'll get to them after. But everyone's just like kind of getting at the couple.
Right.
But actually, it's not their fault. When you get married, you get asked questions about your family. They ask you, is there any chance you could be related? Da, da, da. You have to ask each other those questions. If you don't know your family, there's not really much you can do. For example, if someone was adopted, or if you were really, really young and one parent moved away and you didn't know the other parent, there are a lot of factors that come into play here. So I think first and foremost, for this couple that we are covering, we need to be respectful, because it's one of those things where it's not their fault. Yeah, it's not their fault, and it's also not the children's fault.
Okay, and just to let you know, you can join in on the chat. 07749 give my personal number, sorry guys. 07895 134 713. That's 07895 134 713. And Issa's asked if you could say his name. Hello, Issa. And Anaya.
Hi, Issa.
We're thinking of you guys. How are you all doing out there? I think that's quite a valid point that you've made there, Lily, because in some cases I've watched I don't know if you are aware of this program called Paternity Court.
Life.
And some of the issues that are constantly coming up on there, and it's like it's not something that's new. And this was a discussion that I had with someone at a wedding that we was at on Sunday, and he highlighted it. He said in the Caribbean that siblings or family members are getting together and they're unaware that they are family members. Because he said one of the points that he made was that men are going out there and just spreading
Being
their
sperm
seed.
donors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a second thought. Now, yeah, the nicest thing you could get from a baby, from having intercourse, is a baby. But there are other things. That's the first thing, but that's not what we're discussing tonight. Discussing maybe men that are doing that, and women as well, because there's some women that aren't in control of their fertility as well. Going out and maybe keeping it in the family. There was one on Facebook that said there were two guys that were gang rivals and they didn't even realise they were brothers. All these things need to be...
Because I think it does, first and foremost, you have to think, taking the couple out of the equation for now, like you're saying about the parents, were the parents being responsible, or were they being those people that are just sleeping with any and everyone, and this man's got loads of children that he can't claim, like he doesn't even know who his kids are, or things like that. And then you've got things like paternity court, where the woman's on a show, and as much as I used to laugh at Maury, some of those things are true. Like you've brought 5 men on this show and none of them are your baby father. How can you not know who is the father of your child? You should be in control of your fertility to understand that if you have sex with a man once, there's a possibility you can get pregnant. I'm sorry. Oh, we only did it one time. No.
And then the father goes off into obscurity. Obviously, a lot of the time the mother's left holding the baby. And there was another story that I saw this week of a young boy that was given up for adoption because his parents couldn't cope. And then after 2 years, he'd been working with this guy that turned out to be his father.
Oh, his dad.
His father. He didn't even know. And they connected and made good friendship. But he turned out to be his father. So how do we... I mean, in some cases, when it comes to maybe slavery, because that could be a connection as well, where people don't know they've gone to another island or whatever, that has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, but that's
as
different.
well.
That's generations worth. That's not... You're not marrying your brother. You're marrying your ever so distant relative,
right?
That you didn't even... No, I mean, before anyone just jumps at me, I'm not saying that marrying your cousin is acceptable, because I don't think it is. That's my personal opinion.
They do,
right? But that's my personal opinion. But if you've been like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times removed, that's a distant relative. Okay. If that happens, then you can't really be blamed for that, unless you really know your lineage and your mother's father's 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 father. Then there's not really anything you can do about that.
Yeah.
But it's simple things, like think of the Caribbean, Jamaica, for example. You know, there are certain names in Jamaica that you hear quite often. Quite often. There are certain families that are rather large. You've got certain surnames that you think, oh, yeah, I'm that surname too. Could we be related? You ask the question.
Yes.
But if you don't have that, and you're brought up, one of your parents is Jamaican and your other parent's St. Lucian, for example, like you might take your St. Lucian parent's side of the family's surname, and then you're not going to know about your Jamaican side.
So are we saying then this is another factor before getting into what is a physical relationship, isn't it?
You ask these questions.
Because we asked a question last week as regards to that transgender thing about disclosure.
Yeah.
But I really feel that if you're going to get into a serious relationship with someone and you may be from the same island or Caribbean or whatever, that it might be right to have DNA testing
No,
or checking?
you're taking it too far.
Or
I just think
how is that taking
you
it too
ask
far?
questions, because why do you need to ask questions? People will be honest. Oh, you've got, like, for example, my surname, my husband's surname. We don't have any family that have the same surname, but I still was like, oh, hold on a sec, your cousin is my cousin. How does your cousin know my cousin? What? Like, you,
What part
you
of Jamaica
dig.
you're from?
Yes,
Yeah.
you dig and you ask further questions, and you realize, oh, okay, it's cool. They just grew up in the same kind of in the same area. But you don't need to go DNA test it unless your both surname is Jones. Then you need to go and DNA test.
Right, thank you. So at least you agree with some point.
Yeah, man.
Along.
If you both got similar surnames and you're from similar areas and certain people in your family know each other, no, then you need to start asking more questions. You do.
So how do you think that this couple then got into this situation of finding out further down the line that they are siblings? Maybe there was something wrong with one of the children.
Maybe one of the children got sick, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? They were 13 years together, Leash.
Goodness gracious. What do you do? Like, because regardless of however you look at it, they're bound now. They've got children together.
And what about those kids? Will their children be okay? Are their children all right? Well, obviously, maybe through the children is how they found out. They didn't divulge how they found out that they were siblings, but they did. And their 2 children down. Can't have no more, because you just can't.
Unless you decide that I'm not really bothered, we've been together for 13 years, is what it is.
Okay.
Jews do it all the time.
Do you think so? They intermarry?
Of course they do.
Oh, well. Well, if it's, you know.
Of course they do.
Not their brother and sister, though. Maybe close cousins.
Very close relative, yeah.
But not their brothers and sisters. But there's something else I've been hearing a lot of recently. And that's mother and son getting married.
No, but that's legally, you can't do that.
I don't know. What
Legally, you are not allowed to marry your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin. Second cousin, I think, is legal. Third cousin, I know is legal. But that is why they ask you, when you go in the Western countries, when you go in to the registry office, you have to book an appointment and you have to sit down and you're interrogated, because that's what it feels like. It feels like an interrogation. Some people are separated when they ask questions. They make them sit in different rooms and they ask you questions. And one of the questions they say, and they ask it a few times in different ways, but it's the same question.
Yeah.
Is there any way you and this person can be related? From your knowledge, could you be related? Is this a cousin of yours? Is this a distant relative? Is there any way you two could be related? And even when they're asking you the question, you're like, oh, why would you ask me that? But it's obviously because some people try and marry their brother.
See, a lot of this stuff does go on, and there's other factors and areas which we're not going to divulge today. We might tackle it in another show of just basically what it is, incestuous relationships. In this case, the couple didn't know, but what happens if they do? Will you go down that road? Because that seems to be a road that a lot of people are going down. And I just want to make a point that, let me find him, Rico. Rico says, Rico E Management, his name is, he highlights, he says, Natasha Wimbo, I'm so glad you raised this. This is one of the many subjects the community will not talk or deal with when asked. This has been going on well before Windrush generation came here, and topic will lead into other areas or subjects we don't talk about. And this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of subjects that we do not discuss that need to be addressed.
And some of them we will not be discussing today.
No, we're not going to discuss them today, but I'm just saying that is a point that one person has made, that sometimes
this is true.
You've got to kind of go into things that are uncomfortable. We've spoke about being uncomfortable before.
We have, but we have to understand as well that some people have only got a tolerable palate for certain things.
Yes, I understand.
And you can only take so much in one show.
Yeah.
That being said, I do think we've said this many times, within the Black African community, there are many things that we need to say out loud that we don't say out loud. So, for example, like you're saying, if you have got 2 parents that haven't had a relationship work out and they go off and have their own families, the first question I'd be asking is, for one, why are their families not seeing each other's children? And many of the time it is because one parent is so against their children mixing with his new woman's kids or her new man's kids.
But they should know of each other though.
But some of them don't, and that is because the other one parent or the other is being precious with their child, when actually these situations occur because you're being precious with the child. These situations occur where the girl goes off and runs off with... I read one, and the young girl ran off with a young boy, and they were dating. The parents were against it, but they would never tell her why they were against it. She ended up getting pregnant, and it turned out he was her brother.
Oh, that's deep. A friend of mine, she's written a book. You must check it out. A great read, fantastic read. Jennifer Carradine, and the book is Murderer Destroys His Future, and within there that it tackles that as well. He must have gone to Jamaica.
Oh my gosh! Don't
years
tell me,
ago.
I'm reading the book.
Are you reading the book?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I won't tell you about it, but it's a fantastic read because it touches on many taboo subjects within our community. There's another great book. I'll highlight it if I remember it next week, and it's something to do. Joanne Arthur is the author, and it's the different Caribbean traits in women that we try and hide as well. I think we'll tackle some of the subjects.
What are traits that we try and hide?
Things such as bleaching, skin bleaching.
That's not a trait. That's back to aesthetics. What we were talking about before.
Being someone we're not, as in you got the nice Mercedes, but your house is a mess. You ain't got no money. You know, all those kind of things, different things. Abortion is another one of those things. But these are things that we'll possibly tackle in other shows. Please let us know, listeners, if you are interested in discussing a topic or us looking into it further. Let us know what you think. But as regards to this one here, please let us know what your thoughts are. 07895 134 713. So Lily, do you want to read out maybe some of the responses that we got as regards this question on social media?
Kendra said, it's just one of those things that you have to be in there to know what to do. I'm not sure what I'd do. The black family that shares their story about this experience must be having a crazy time. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Rico again says, this is why parents need to talk up, especially these sperm donors. I put my house on it that this is common in Brum with everyone, just sharing and having kids for the same man or same woman. The next generation is going to be wild. Best your kids start date outside their races. So I don't particularly agree with the second part, but I do agree with the fact that there are certain men out there that have loads of kids and they are there for each of their kids and they will make them know who their siblings are. However, there are other men out there who come, breed up the woman and then just don't do nothing about it. And the child grows up with a multitude of issues in itself. The boys grow up with a complex of how they should treat women, and the girls grow up with daddy issues, and it's just a vicious cycle. And it's not just in our community, but it does tend to, the Caribbean men tend to have a reputation for doing this. And
in some ways I can understand it, because
what them just breeding and leaving
within slavery, that was what they were.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, I understand you being sorry, but they were studs, a lot of them. Okay, so whether there's never, I shouldn't say there's never been, because there is like a proper family unit. So they're quite kind of sparse, isn't it? They're not committing, but just doing the act.
Do you believe every single word that just came out of your mouth?
I'm not saying everybody, Leash, but there is a big majority that are that way inclined.
I don't think there is. I think that we have had a generation where there have been men that have been breeders.
There's more than one generation, Lily, not just a generation.
No, but you can't say, because this is again falling into the stereotype, and you're you're building a stereotype that is the black man just breathes and leaves his children.
No, that's not the stereotype that
is a stereotype.
Because I said to you that there is a majority that do it. Okay?
But I don't think there's a majority.
Well, what are your thoughts out there? Alicia and I are having a bit of a debate in here.
No, because you said there's no unit.
This.
There is a family unit.
There are family units. I'm not disagreeing with that. But there are men out there that are going out there and just being farmers.
Yeah, but I don't think that has anything to do with slavery. I think partially it may be the slave mentality, but when does it become... When can you no longer use that as an excuse? I'm being Kanye West now. When can you no longer use that as an excuse? Oh, well, our black women don't support us and blah, blah, blah. No. When can you stop using that as an excuse?
I think it may have something to do with it because a lot of them aren't grounded. Maybe a lot of guys aren't grounded that do that. So let's put it in that category. Men that go out and do that then.
Because you've got men that are that have come from family units doing that. Men that have come from a mother and a father, married, have their children, and they are the ones that are going out and breeding up the world.
Right.
But they've come from a family unit. So how does that make sense?
I don't know. What are your thoughts? Am I being closed-minded? Am I not being open-minded when it comes to this subject? Because it's important that even the men... Because a man might get a woman pregnant and she might not tell him that he's a father.
Which is wrong.
That situation as well.
I think we've spoken about this before as well.
So there's lots of... And it doesn't just happen within our community, but it is a big problem within our community. Because I know a lot of I shouldn't use the word hillbillies, but, the Southerners in America do the same thing and intermarry. We know they do that, but they know that they're doing it. Yeah. It's a fact when you don't know, because this couple did not know that they were related and went on to have offspring.
And they may stay together because of the stereotypes, but I now don't want to be a man that has left his kids and the mum's looking after. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They may stay in that family unit because of the children, because they don't want their children to grow up being weirdos. Oh my gosh, your dad left your mum because he's your sister. Do you know what I mean? Like
but is that something that you would divulge though? Would you even want to mention that to anybody?
Yeah, but then what's the reason?
And it's quite amazing that these two came out and spoke about it. But then it's something we're discussing now. Maybe to put the idea into people's minds that before you start procreating, is that you have a plan that you're not
Desultory. I can't remember the word now.
Desultory. Okay, and we used it. Yay!
Oh my life.
So that before we go out and start, breeding. I don't like that word, breeding or having children.
But that's what they're doing. They're breeding. Yeah. They're being sperm donors and they're going out pump and dump. That's what they're doing.
But it's not just the men. We can't just blame the men either because it's down to the women as well.
It is. And this is why I said those women as well that want, no, he can't have you this weekend because I don't want you and his other kids. Those kind of women are the ones that encourage these mishaps.
Dear. So what is it? Is it... Yeah.
It's the what do you do? AJ Salazar says, I have sisters I've never met, so I'm always weary about this. And this is wise. You have this person is aware that there's a possibility that the person you might buck up with may be your relative. Carol says, recover from the shock, plan the separation, pray the two children do not suffer as a result of the incestuous relationship and seek relevant testing. Dinner and many a conversation with the parents, aunts, uncles. Seek counselling as will live with a cloud, heavy heart from here on.
The thing is...
Go on.
I was going to say, yeah, there are the repercussions from that relationship.
Yeah. And did none of the family know they were related? Like, what side of the family did they know?
Again, it could be the fact, that we, again, go back to paternity court, that the woman had multiple partners or whatever, didn't tell the man, and years later the child wants to know, and then 4, 5, 6 men later they don't know, in that case.
But I'm thinking way out of the box here. But when you got those aunties that are just in everyone's business, yeah, and you've brought home your boyfriend and, he favours such and such. Who's your dad? You know what I mean? Oh, let's see pictures of your family. And then he's showing the family the pictures. And, that looks like who you used to date. Remember that guy that you used to...
But then they might not have pictures of their parents. Unlike what Heather said. She said that she knew someone and he said this guy started dating a young female. Thankfully, they didn't get physical. She invited him over to his house. He saw a picture of his dad on the mantelpiece. And they turned out to be brother and sister.
Oh, I allow it.
Yeah. He said, that's my dad. Oh, that's my dad.
Oh, my days.
That is just, nah. I don't know how I would cope with that.
See, that just makes me angry.
Why are you getting angry about it?
Because
we can't get angry about
as
it.
A loving
just
parent,
raise awareness.
No, think of it, as a loving parent, does it never cross your mind? This is a question to people out there that may be in these situations. Does it never cross your mind to think that one day your child is going to look or meet someone and you don't know who their father is or where their mother is?
This is why we have to be disultrous.
But people aren't. You can't always have a plan. Really. Sometimes you go out. I know this happens. People go out, they get drunk, they have a one night stand, and oh my goodness, I'm pregnant. And those women are most probably embarrassed, so they don't go and seek the help or they go and raise the child on their own, and then 20 years later they say, oh yeah, this is your dad. But
that's if they know,
right?
And that's where the problem lies.
But
that's where the problem
Bev
lies.
says men move too mucky. I don't know what that means, Bev, but you're right. Yes. I don't know. I feel sorry for the couple. I actually think that they are the victims here.
A friend of mine once said, and I really do agree with her, she said that we got to consider the unborn child. And I think in a lot of cases, the unborn child is not considered for the fact of when you're having a baby, that you don't just have a baby. You can if you want to, but we have to consider the children that are going to, regardless of, and this is for the parents of those that divulge into their youngsters who their father is, not knowing who their father is, all that kind of stuff, because it can mess someone up. This must have messed up, like the person said, they must be going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Because they're in a situation that they had no control. Well, I guess they could have dug, like you said earlier, but it's the craziest situation to be in,
I think it's bad enough when you do know your father is and they don't want to be involved. So if you...
But it's knowing your siblings, and that's where they let them down. Your thoughts, beautiful people, what do you think as regards to this subject? Sonia says, I agree with Wimbo, but also think it is important to look at the reason why this is happening. It's all about programming and how men think they need to be in our society. Some are very lost and didn't have role models that they learned basic respect from. That is it.
That's true.
In the nutshell, isn't it? Learning that basic respect that one woman, okay, things might not work out, but, think if you're going to settle down and be responsible and commit to each other, then that's the time you bring a child into the world. No?
You can't say that. Because some people don't have the luxury of being able to settle down with someone. Some people do just end up in situationships and think that they're in the right relationship and end up with someone's baby, and then it doesn't work out. So in the ideal world, everybody would be in the idealistic relationship and their children would just come and flowers would just surround you. That's what would happen in an ideal world. But we have to accept things happen, isn't it? Things happen. You can't always have things in the ideal fashion.
I agree.
But I think if you are going to end up in a situationship or a sticky situation, then you need to...
I think it's unfair. I'm sorry.
It is unfair, but you...
But then life isn't fair. I read that this morning. Life isn't fair. So give your kids 1/4 of an apple and 1 3/4, because that's what life's going to dish out to you.
That is awful.
But life's not fair. So they've got to learn that from a young age, you know. But Chanel says it's definitely a majority.
What less baby fathers?
Yeah. But then we'd have to get statistics
guys,
on
we
that.
we can't fall into the stereotype here, people.
But then it's going back to breaking the cycle, right? We were speaking about this yesterday, funny enough. When we're raising, so the women or men who are raising these youngsters, helping them to see the importance of not spreading themselves everywhere. Are we doing that? Are they learning this stuff in school?
No,
because
we take them out of the lessons when they talk about safe sex and having relationships. We're like, nah, my children's not sitting. They're not. We take them out of those lessons. We don't teach them about. We've had this conversation. We don't teach our children about safe sex. We teach them you're not having no sex. We just assume that our 17-year-old that's well formed is some nun. No, that's not how it happens. And we think that taking them out of those lessons is acceptable. It was my brother that said this to me, because Joanne got a bit funny because they was talking about body parts in Jada's class. And no, I was not happy that they were teaching 6-year-olds about their bodies and male and female part. But then my brother said to me, he's like, no, yeah, their son, they know where things are. They know how those things, because they have to be aware also, as sad as it is to say, but they have to also be aware of how to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
So 100%. If we are here's a conversation that what's his name, management was saying, that a conversation that we don't like having is the fact that our teenagers, when they start secondary school, or they start at 12, by the time they've gotten to that point, before, children were innocent. When I was in school and you was 12, you was innocent. A couple of years below me, you got to secondary school, you was innocent. But that innocence is lost in primary school now.
Yes, in cartoons. I've seen things in cartoons that I'm just like, what the hell?
No, but we pick up on those things. I don't think the children pick up on it.
It's subconsciously going in, Leash.
Yeah.
This is the scary part, that it is, they get them subconsciously, and your subconscious is even more to be protected than your conscious.
Yeah.
Because when we're conscious of things, we can address it. But subconsciously, this is why, back in the day, they used to flash something up in adverts.
Oh, subliminals,
right?
yeah.
So you would go and buy that. You don't know why you fancied it. I remember, I don't really eat burgers. And I was watching something at my mum's, and I thought, I really fancy a burger. I was like, why do I fancy that? Why do I want it? Because subconsciously something's in there.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether we think, oh no, they're not, the kids, they don't get it, it's just funny for the parents, it's quite surprising how quick our youngsters pick up on these things.
They do.
Yeah.
And this is why it's one of those, as I find, religiously we do this, we think that we can wrap them in bubble wrap and they'll never find things out. But I'm going to get so much backlash for this, most probably from certain people, but is it better to make them aware and safe, or is it better to try and hide the truth from them and them explore it themselves?
No, I feel that they need to be told. So hence, preparing them to behave a certain way and know that you can't just go and put your thing everywhere and breed up and be and from young, because a lot of them are young people as well. Started young, got a girl pregnant, girl got pregnant, and then part their ways 20 odd years later. They've both started new families, they've become more responsible, but they've not kept in touch with the girl. There's so many scenarios that could lead us down this path.
But we get, we get that things like teenage pregnancies and that happen. But it's that your teenage daughter and your teenage son, because everyone wants to tell the daughter, but your teenage son as well.
Absolutely.
If that situation has happened, it's not about saying, oh, you need to grow up and no, it is about, this has happened, this is how we work through the situation. Sensibility and maturity are better handling a situation than anger, frustration and cussing at the children all the time. And they will live through that experience thinking, do you know what? Not unfortunately, but it's happened. But for respect of myself, because this is the thing, it's about respect. I respect myself enough to know that, yes, I have one child. That doesn't mean that I need to give my body to all these different people now. Yeah. And him respecting her will say, do you know what? We have this child together. We don't have to be together because we are young or we were young. But
that's fair enough.
We need to understand that going forward, the child is priority. You can have as many kids as you like if you're going to have them. Have as many kids as you like. But they need to know who they are.
Yeah, and as well as if you want to be one of those people that goes out and because you are that way inclined, it doesn't mean you got to have a baby every time that you do it.
It's called sexually liberated.
If you're sexually liberated, fair enough, but come on, don't be populating the world at the same time, you know. And then us now, we're discussing this topic because, like Mr. Manager said, that is something that's taboo and that's not spoken about. It needs to be spoken about. We need to raise awareness on these things. We need to raise awareness on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And what we're going to keep quiet because we don't want to offend anybody?
But that's what we do in our society, in our community. This is what we do. We just brush everything under the carpet. It's oh no, that's not what we talk about. We don't discuss those things out loud.
And now this family, they've got to deal with the aftermath of not knowing who they were originally. So knowing who we are and exploring and trying to find out the background. And if we do start up in a new relationship, that at least get to know that person and their family, just for peace of mind.
They were together for 3 years before this. But Bev makes the point. She said that where were the family when they got married? Because they would have invited their families to their wedding.
Dad might be dead. You don't know.
Yeah, but what about the other family?
They probably didn't know about the other person. That's what I'm saying. In some cases, they don't even know that they're related.
Man, it's deep.
It's very deep. It's deep as... It's deep, but just...
I feel it for them, I do.
Likewise.
Feel it for them.
Likewise. You know, but thank you so much for your answers tonight, guys. And, yeah, it goes very, very deep as regards to this subject. But just to be aware of it and know if you're a woman that we can be in control of our fertility. We don't have to have tons of children. And if you're a man, knowing if you want to go out there and be sexually liberated, that you protect yourself.
You don't need to sow your royal oats at the same time.
I think they should bring out a man pill.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, they'll forget to take it and still end up with the same problem.
Could you imagine men going through the hormones that you have to go through when you're on birth control?
It might calm them down a bit. Who knows? It might calm them down a bit.
I'm not even gonna.
So shouting out all the DJs on the station. You can catch Charlie Muir tomorrow, as well as Darnell the Therapist. Tonight, following me from 8 till 10, is DJ Laro with a Vibe Show. And please do check out our Facebook page if you can. There's a schedule there to show what DJs are playing live, as well as the website, www.alllfalvasradio.com. So, Lily, we're starting a new book tonight, right?
We are starting a new book tonight. And I want the listeners to tell us how they want us to do this, because the book we're starting is the 100 Greatest Leadership Principles of All Time. And it's split into 5 different parts. So we've got intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and discipline. Now, do you want us to just go through part 1, intelligence, or would you like one from each category over the next couple of weeks? So this week we do the first one from intelligence, and the next one we do trustworthiness.
I think we should do humaneness, to be honest, today.
Should we do human? That's just randomly in the middle.
Okay. It kind of seems to be brinking on what we're discussing tonight.
So we get the listeners to tell us what order they want us to go in.
Shout all the chat room crew. Chanel Taylor, DJ Laro, Joy McKay, you right, Mum, right? Kimmy B, how you doing, Kimmy? Mark Philogene, Pele Hoxton. Pele, please, I hope you got the T-shirt. If you could please take a picture of it so that we can post that up on the website, that'd be fantastic. Also, following Sonia from Berlin. Guten Tag. Is it Guten Tag? Wishing you well. DiCarlo, Gal, and Marjak, John Ash, Isa, Anaya, Beverly, and Lindy. Thank you all for tuning in. Especially, we're going to shout out DJ George Flavors as well. Thank you so much for giving us such a platform to really get out there and speak to people. And like we say, if you would like us to speak on anything particular, please let us know, okay? Lily, so what we're going to...
So we went to humaneness.
Yeah.
And these are very simple one-liners.
Yeah.
The man whose authority is recent is always stern.
Okay.
What that mean?
The man whose authority... Say that again for me, please.
The man whose authority is recent is always stern.
Is that because he knows? Oh, that's because he's recently got his authority. So, no, as in, like, that he's been elevated to a position, so he feels, oh, yes, I'm boss.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing.
But that's not humane, is it?
Don't know why they put that under humane. But I guess it's to do with humanism, how humans behave.
Okay.
Maybe.
So the man who's got his authority, he's been given that authority.
Powerful.
He's powerful. He stands up straight and tall and
thinks that, hey, you're beneath me. Or maybe
that's not always what stern means.
What does
it
stern
means that
mean?
they're just mark. They're assertive. That's the right word. They are assertive. One who is in charge of their fertility is assertive.
Yes.
One who wants to be sexually liberated but not
protected.
So their royal oath is assertive.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it's having the authority but being
in control.
Using it in the right way. Because lots of us are in positions of authority. Having a relationship, you're in a position of authority, both of you, to be responsible to each other, right? Some are irresponsible, but it's about using that authority wisely.
In the right way,
and in a loving way. In a loving way, all right? And we'll be going through that, the greatest leadership principles. I love that because they're all one-liners. We finished the 10X rule and the 32 principles of that. And, wow. Lily... Any last words?
Thanks for listening, guys. We have been going for 56 weeks now. 57 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 56.
Last week was 56. So we're getting there.
We're getting there.
And like we say, if there's anything that you'd like us to tackle, please feel free. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Give yourselves a nice round of applause. And DJ Lara will be following us from 8 till 10. So I guess, Lily, all we have left to say is we will see y'all on the other side. Take care.
Night.